What if every groan you let slip, every excuse you scramble to weave, is quietly draining the power you didn't even know you had? You're exhausted, spilling complaints about a world that won't bend, a boss who doesn't care, a life that feels unfair, or pleading for someone, anyone, to nod at your reasons, to see your side, to get you. You're not just tired, you're trapped, bleeding energy into words that change nothing, chasing understanding that never lands, wondering why the weight won't lift. What if the real cage isn't out there? It's in here, in the endless loop of whining and justifying you've mistaken for relief. Here's the jolt. Strength doesn't roar through complaints or beg through explanations. It rises in silence, in action, in standing firm without a word. You've been sold the lie that venting lightens the load, that explaining wins you ground, but they're thieves, sapping your grit, handing your reins to the crowd, the chaos, the things you can't shift. Psychology cracks it open, Stoic wisdom nails it shut. Stop moaning about what's done, stop proving what's yours, and you'll unlock a calm so fierce nothing can touch it. Marcus Aurelius whispered, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. Your words don't fix them, they free you if you let them go." We're diving into 12 raw, quiet ways to live this. Never complain, never explain. Drawing from the minds of the steady and the souls of the wise, showing you how to ditch the drama, master your core, and let your actions roar where your voice once wavered. If you're sick of the whine, the wait for their yes, this is your spark. Like if it's hitting your bones, share this with someone drowning in their own noise, sub to Victory Stoic to forge your silent steel, and drop "I'm done talking" in the comments. Then tell us, when did you last complain or explain? Your strength's not in their ears, let's claim it back. Number 1. Power comes from action, not words. Most people believe that if they complain enough, someone will listen. If they explain themselves well enough, others will finally understand. But the truth is, neither of these things change reality. The more you complain, the more powerless you become. The more you explain, the more you surrender control to someone else's opinion. Power is never in words, it is in action. Think about the people you admire, the ones who truly command respect. Do they spend their time justifying themselves, arguing for approval, or lamenting their hardships? Or do they simply act, unbothered by criticism, unaffected by obstacles, moving forward with unwavering purpose? True strength is quiet. It does not beg to be seen. It proves itself through results. When you complain, you are not solving a problem, you are dwelling in it. You reinforce your suffering, focus on what's wrong, and make yourself a victim of circumstance. But when you act, you shift from reaction to control, from weakness to power. Instead of waiting for the world to change, you change yourself. Instead of explaining why you deserve something, you take it. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." The same applies here. Don't waste time explaining who you are. Be someone whose actions make words unnecessary. Don't waste energy complaining about what's unfair. Be someone who overcomes it anyway. The moment you embrace this mindset, you stop seeking validation. You stop waiting for permission. You stop feeding the illusion that talking changes anything. Your strength is in what you do, not in what you say. Number 2, complaining changes nothing. Ever catch yourself grumbling about something? A rainy day soaking your shoes, a boss piling on extra work, a friend who forgot to text back, and feel that sour sting linger long after the words fade? You vent, you groan, thinking it'll lighten the load, but instead, it's like stirring a pot of cold soup. It just sits there, thicker, heavier, no warmer than before. You're not easing the ache, you're stretching it, letting it settle deeper, replaying the same tired tune while the problem shrugs and stays put. Complaining doesn't fix a thing. It's a shovel digging you down, not a ladder lifting you out. Take Priya, 29, a cashier. She'd come home every night, flop on the couch, and unload to her roommate. "This job's a mess," she'd sigh, railing about rude customers, long shifts, her feet screaming by closing time. She'd talk till her throat scratched, expecting the weight to lift, but it didn't. The next shift rolled in. Same gripes, same grind, her mood a little darker each time. Stuck in a loop of her own making. Or picture Tom, 45, a dad. He'd mutter at the kitchen table, "Traffic's a nightmare," after every commute. His kids would nod, his wife would hum, But the cars didn't move faster next day. He just carried the grumble longer, a shadow trailing him home. Here's the simple nudge. Complaining doesn't shift the rain, the boss, or the road. It shifts you, and not for the better. It's like yelling at a locked door. You're still outside, just louder. More wine. Priya's not stuck at the register. She's stuck in her rant. Tom's not trapped in traffic. He's trapped in his replay. You're not hurting from the mess. You're hurting from the moan, stretching a bruise till it's a scar. The Stoics saw it plain. Epictetus said, "There is only one way to happiness, and that is to cease worrying about things which are beyond the power of our will." The weather won't hear you. The job won't bend. Why waste your breath? This is the quiet snag. Whining keeps the pain alive, a little echo you don't need to hum. Priya's shifts didn't change. Her chatter did. Tom's roads didn't clear. His griping clogged him. You're not stuck till you sing the stuck song, and dropping it sets you free. It's not about pretending it's fine. It's about picking what moves you forward, not what holds you back. Here's the easy step. Swap the grumble for a grip. Priya traded "this sucks" for "I'll rest." Put her feet up, sipped tea, let the day slip off quiet. Tom ditched "what a mess" for "I'll tune in," popped on a podcast, let the cars roll by, found his calm. Next time the whine creeps up, pause. Ask, "Does this fix it?" Say it soft, "I'll let it pass," and picture the complaint as a cloud, drifting, not rooting. No fuss needed, just one small turn and the sting fades. Priya's nights glow now. Tom's drives hum smooth. Complaining shifts nothing. Silence shifts you. Number 3, complaining makes you lose control. It puts your fate in the hands of others. There are 2 types of people in the world. Those who take control of their lives, and those who complain about how unfair life is. The first group understands a simple truth. Complaining doesn't change anything. The second group, however, spends their energy pointing fingers at circumstances, blaming others, and waiting for someone else to fix their problems. But here's the hard truth. When you complain, you give away your power. You place your fate in the hands of the very things you claim to hate. The trap of complaining. Imagine 2 coworkers, Jake and Eric. They both work in the same office, under the same difficult boss. Jake spends every lunch break venting to his colleagues. "This job is terrible. My boss never appreciates my work. I'm overworked and underpaid. Nothing ever changes." He repeats these words daily, growing more bitter with each complaint. But he never does anything about it. Eric, on the other hand, sees the same problems, but instead of complaining, he takes action. He updates his resume, learns new skills, and starts networking. Within months, he lands a better job, while Jake is still in the same place, making the same complaints. What's the difference? Jake surrendered control. Eric reclaimed it. The more you complain, the more you reinforce the belief that you are powerless, that your problems are bigger than you, that someone else holds the key to your happiness. But the moment you shift your mindset, the moment you stop focusing on what's wrong and start asking, "What can I do about it?" you take back control. Complaining is a form of self-sabotage. Not only does complaining keep you stuck, but it also shifts your internal dialogue in a dangerous way. Every time you complain, you reaffirm that the world is unfair, that you are unlucky, that your problems are someone else's fault. And the more you believe this, the less likely you are to take action. Psychologists have found that the brain rewires itself based on repeated thought patterns. If you constantly complain, your brain learns to focus on negativity, making you see even more problems. But if you focus on solutions, your brain adapts, making you more resilient, more proactive, and ultimately, more powerful. The Stoic mindset. Control what you can, ignore what you can't. Epictetus said, "Happiness and freedom begin with a clear understanding of one principle. Some things are within our control, and some things are not." The wise person understands this distinction and puts their energy only where it matters. Traffic is bad? Complaining won't fix it. Leave earlier. Find an audiobook. Make the time productive. Your boss is unfair? Complaining won't make them a better person. Look for new opportunities, build skills, or set firm boundaries. People gossip about you? Complaining won't silence them. Stay focused, keep moving forward, and let your results speak louder than their words. Complaining is reactive. It keeps you trapped in frustration. Action is proactive. It moves you forward. The choice is yours. Do you want to be Jake, stuck in a cycle of powerlessness? Or do you want to be Eric, taking control of his future? The moment you stop complaining, you stop waiting. You stop expecting others to change. You start building, adapting, and owning your life. And that is where real power begins. Number 4, explaining yourself is a sign of insecurity. The more you justify, the more you seek approval. The moment you feel the need to explain yourself, you are already on the defensive. You are subconsciously seeking permission to be understood, accepted, or validated. But here's the problem. The more you explain, the more you reinforce the idea that your decisions, thoughts, and actions require external approval. And once you fall into that trap, you surrender control over your own sense of worth. Behavioral psychology explains this through the concept of operant conditioning, where actions are reinforced through rewards or punishments. If you constantly explain yourself and someone accepts your reasoning, your brain receives a small dopamine hit. It feels like validation, like you've gained approval. But what happens when someone doesn't accept your explanation? You feel frustrated, misunderstood, even rejected. And so the cycle begins. You over-explain, trying harder to convince them, trying harder to win their approval, only to realize that their opinion of you was never in your control to begin with. This is how people get trapped in approval-seeking behavior. Every explanation you give becomes an unconscious request for reassurance. You start believing that if you just find the right words, if you just clarify your intentions well enough, if you just justify your choices persuasively enough, then everyone will finally understand you, respect you, or leave you alone. But reality doesn't work that way. People believe what they want to believe. Their judgment of you is filtered through their own biases, insecurities, and assumptions, none of which are within your control. The harsh truth is, no amount of explaining will ever change a mind that is unwilling to listen. The need to explain stems from a lack of internal confidence. Truly confident people do not waste time justifying their actions because they know their choices are their own. They understand that they do not owe an explanation for how they live their lives, what they choose to pursue, or why they walk away from certain people. Instead of convincing others, they simply act. Instead of defending themselves, they allow their results to speak. Marcus Aurelius said, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." The same applies to your decisions. Stop arguing, stop justifying, stop looking for permission. If you know your path, walk it. If you trust your choices, own them. The more you explain, the more you weaken your own authority. The moment you stop, you reclaim control. Number 5, complaining feeds the dark. Ever notice how a quick grumble about a late bus, a spilled coffee, a friend's snub, starts small but then grows, like a weed you didn't mean to water? You let it out, thinking it'll pass, a little huff to shake off the day, but soon it's a hum in your head, a sour note that sticks, coloring everything gray. You're not just annoyed, you're sinking, feeding a gloom that wraps around you, turning you into someone who doesn't fight back, just folds. Complaining doesn't clear the air. It clouds it, making you the victim of a story you keep telling yourself. Take Lena, 31, a receptionist. She'd start her mornings fine, but one glitch set her off. "This printer's useless," she'd mutter, jamming paper, her voice sharp as the next call rang. She'd vent to coworkers, griping about the machine, the noise, the day. By lunch, her smile was gone, her shoulders slumped, caught in a funk she'd brewed. She wasn't just mad at the printer, she'd made herself its prey. Or see Mark, 39, a warehouse worker. Rain on his route sparked it. "Always pouring when I'm out," he'd grumble, unloading boxes, his mood soaking wetter than his boots. He'd carry it home, snapping at the kids, the drizzle now a storm in his chest. He didn't lose to the rain, he lost to his wine. Here's the gentle wake-up. Complaining doesn't lift the weight, it piles it on. It's like tossing fuel on a flicker. The more you moan, the bigger the blaze, and soon you're not facing a problem, you're nursing a pity party. Lena's not trapped by the printer, it's her muttering that binds her. Mark's not beaten by the weather, it's his grumbling that drowns him. You're not down because life's tough. You're down because you've crowned yourself its casualty. The Stoics saw it clear. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." The bus, the spill, the snub, they don't own you, your complaints do. This is the quiet snag. Whining feeds the dark till it's all you see, a loop you don't have to spin. Lena's day didn't dim from paper jams, her words dimmed it. Mark's rain didn't ruin him, his tunes soaked him through. You're not a victim till you sing the victim's song, and dropping it lights your way out. It's not about faking a grin, it's about choosing what grows, not what festers. Here's the soft shift. Let the grumble fade and step up. Lena swapped "this stinks" for "I'll sort it," fixed the printer, hummed a song, kept her glow. Mark traded rain again for "I've got this," dried his boots, hugged his kids, found his son. When the wine stirs, pause. Ask, "Is this helping me?" Say it calm, "I choose light," and picture the complaint as a leaf, drifting off, not digging in. No fight needed, just one easy turn and the gloom lifts. Lena's desk shines now, Mark's home hums warm. Complaining feeds the dark. Starve it and you stand free. Number 6, let your actions speak. Results prove more than words ever can. People talk all the time about what they're going to do, what they believe in, how they want to be seen. But talk is cheap. Words mean nothing without action to back them up. The truly powerful people in life don't waste energy explaining themselves, defending their choices, or convincing others to believe in them. They let their actions do the talking. Take Daniel, for example. He had always been passionate about fitness, but was constantly met with skepticism from his friends and family. "You're wasting your time," they said when he started training seriously. "You'll never stick with it," they mocked when he adjusted his diet. At first, Daniel felt the urge to explain, to defend his decisions, to convince them that he was serious. But then he realized something. Nothing he said would change their minds. They were judging him based on his past, their own biases, and their unwillingness to believe in things they hadn't yet seen. So instead of arguing, he stopped talking. Daniel woke up every morning and trained. He ate with discipline. He ignored the noise. Months passed, then a year. And one day, those same friends who had mocked him were now asking for his advice. "How did you do it?" they wondered. The same people who once doubted him were now inspired by his results. The lesson is simple. People only believe in what they can see. It doesn't matter how well you explain your goals, how passionately you defend your choices, or how loudly you declare your intentions. Your words will never be as powerful as your actions. Psychologists call this the observer effect. People are more influenced by what they witness than by what they are told. If you constantly explain yourself, others will subconsciously sense insecurity. But if you stay silent and let results speak, they have no choice but to respect you. Look at history's greatest figures. Did Steve Jobs beg people to believe in Apple? Did Michael Jordan waste time arguing about his talent? Did Marcus Aurelius write essays convincing people he was a great leader? No. They acted. They worked. And in the end, their actions proved what words never could. Marcus Aurelius said, "Do not waste what remains of your life in speculation about others. Instead, be concerned with action." If you want to be respected, achieve something worth respecting. If you want to prove your worth, become undeniably valuable. If you want people to believe in you, let them see the proof. So stop explaining, stop defending, stop justifying. Let your results speak so loudly that no one ever questions you again. Number 7. Explaining won't sway their minds. Ever found yourself pouring out words, laying out your reasons, your heart, your truth, hoping they'll nod, see your side, only to watch them blink and stick to their own story anyway? You explain, you plead, thinking clarity will bridge the gap, but it's like tossing pebbles into a stream. The water ripples, then settles right back where it was. You're not just unheard, you're unheeded, spinning your wheels, chasing their aha moment while they stay locked in what they've already decided. Explaining doesn't shift their view. They believe what they choose, not what you say, and you're left winded for nothing. Take Sarah, 34, a nurse. She'd sit her brother down after every family spat. "I didn't mean to snap," she'd say, voice steady, tracing the long shift, the tired night that sparked her edge. She'd talk till her throat ached, expecting his frown to soften, but he'd shrug, "You're just too sensitive," and walk off, his mind unmoved, her effort a whisper in the wind. Or picture Vic, 41, a mechanic. His coworker griped he slacked on a job. "I was swamped," Vic'd reply, listing the busted engines, the overtime, calm and clear. Yet the guide scoff, excuses, sticking to his tail, leaving Vic's words to drift like dust. They weren't convincing. They were exhausting themselves, chasing a shift that wouldn't come. Here's the gentle light. Explaining doesn't turn their lens, it tires yours. It's like painting a wall they've already colored, their beliefs set, not yours to repaint. Sarah's not wrong. Her brother's chosen his frame. Vic's not lazy. His mates picked his plot. You're not failing to reach them. They're choosing not to reach you, and no string of words will rewrite what they've settled on. The Stoics saw it sharp. Epictetus said, "Don't explain your philosophy, embody it. Your why doesn't need their yes. Let it stand in what you do, not what you say." This is the quiet pull. Explaining digs for their nod when it's not there to find. A chase that dims your glow for no gain. Sarah's not stuck on her brother's take, she's stuck on her talk. Vic's not snagged by his mate's jab, he's snagged by his spiel. You're not unheard till you lean on their ears, and letting go lifts the strain. It's not about silence for silence, it's about saving your breath for what counts. Here's the soft step, let their view rest where it lies. Sarah swapped "he'll get it" for "I'll breathe." Patched her shift, sipped her tea, kept her peace. Vic traded "he'll see" for "I'll fix." Tuned his wrench, hummed his tune, held his ground. When the urge to explain stirs, pause. Ask, will this sway them? Say it calm, I'll let it be, and picture their opinion as a cloud floating by, not your load. No push needed, just one easy turn and you're steady. Sarah's nights hum now, Vic's garage rolls smooth. Explaining shifts no minds, release it and shine free. Number 8, complaining pushes people away. Ever notice how a grumbled rant about a tough day, a glitchy phone, a rude stranger, starts as a spark, but then spreads, like a fog that creeps into every corner of the room? You let it loose, thinking they'll sit with you in it, a shared shrug at life's quirks. But soon, their smiles dim, their replies thin, and you're left wondering why the air feels colder, the chair's emptier. You're not just venting, you're drifting, sending out a hum of gloom that nudges folks further, 'cause nobody wants to linger near a cloud that won't lift. Complaining doesn't draw them in, it drives them off, and you're the one left standing in the haze. Take Mira, 36, a barista. She'd greet her coworkers with a groan. "This espresso machine's a joke," she'd start, spilling tales of spills and spills of tales. Burnt beans, cranky regulars, the works. At first they'd nod, sip their lattes, but soon they'd drift to the back, chatter fading, leaving Mira steaming solo, her brew of gripes too bitter to share. She wasn't just tired, she was tiring them. Or see Raj, 43, a driver. He'd roll up to his buddy's game night, heavy. "Clients all suck today," he'd mutter, unpacking delays, detours, every red light. His pals' laughs dulled, cards shuffled slower, till they texted less, met up rarer. He didn't lose them to traffic, he lost them to his tune. Here's the soft truth, complaining doesn't build a bridge, it burns one. It's like tossing damp wood on a fire. The more you pile, the less it warms, and folks step back from the tape. Smoke. Mira's not shunned by the machine. Her moaning dims her glow. Raj is not ditched by the road. His grumbling dims his crew. You're not alone till you sing the blues too long, and they'd rather bask in light than slog through shade. The Stoics got it. Epictetus said, "What need is there to weep over parts of life? The whole of it calls for tears." Life's rough enough. Why drag them through your echo of it? This is the gentle pull. Whining sows a chill no one sticks around for, a weight you don't need to spread. Mira's shifts didn't chase them. Her chatter did. Raj's routes didn't fade them. His hum did. You're not pushing till you pour the dark, and letting it dry keeps them near. It's not about hiding the hard, it's about lifting the room, not sinking it. Here's the easy nudge. Swap the moan for a spark. Mira traded "this stinks" for "try this brew." Poured a cup, shared a laugh, kept her circle warm. Raj ditched "rough day" for "deals on me." Grabbed the deck, lit the night, held his crew close. When the grumble bubbles, pause. Ask, will this pull them in? Say it quiet, I'll shine instead. And picture the gloom as a breeze, passing light, not pooling. No strain needed, just one soft shift, and they stay. Mira's counter buzzes now, Raj's table glows full, complaining sends them off, silence brings them back. Number 9. Explaining yourself is chasing validation. Your value comes from within, not external approval. The moment you explain yourself to seek approval, you put your self-worth in the hands of others. You are no longer acting for yourself, you are acting for their acceptance, their validation, their permission. This is a dangerous trap. Because the truth is, people will believe what they want to believe. No amount of explanation will convince someone who has already decided not to respect you. No amount of justification will make a close-minded person suddenly understand you. Imagine Ethan, an entrepreneur who decided to quit his corporate job to start his own business. The moment he announced his decision, the opinions flooded in. "That's too risky," some said. "What if you fail?" others questioned. Ethan, at first, felt the need to explain. He laid out his strategy, defended his reasoning, and assured everyone he had thought it through. But the more he explained, the more doubts they raised. He realized that his explanations weren't for himself, they were for their approval. And no matter how well he justified his decision, there would always be someone who didn't believe in him. The Stoics teach us that external validation is meaningless. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinions than our own." True confidence doesn't come from convincing others. It comes from knowing that you don't need to. Your worth, your decisions, your life, these are yours alone. If you are on the right path, explanations are unnecessary. If you are on the wrong path, explanations won't make it right. Either way, seeking approval only weakens your resolve. Number 10. Silence preserves your dignity. Your actions define you, not your words. There is immense power in silence. People who truly command respect do not beg to be understood. They do not explain, justify, or convince. They simply act. Their presence alone speaks volumes. Their results silence doubters. Their consistency makes their words unnecessary. Consider Sophia, a woman constantly underestimated in her male-dominated industry. Instead of arguing for her competence, she let her work prove it. She didn't waste time debating whether she deserved a seat at the table. She earned it. And when her results became undeniable, the same people who once dismissed her fell silent. She didn't demand respect. She made it impossible to ignore her. This is the Stoic way. Epictetus said, "Don't explain your philosophy, embody it." True dignity is not found in long-winded justifications, in defending your choices to those who refuse to listen. It is found in quiet certainty, in unshakable self-assurance, in the ability to walk forward without looking back. Every time you engage in pointless explanations, you give away a piece of your power. Every time you stay silent and let your actions speak, you regain it. Those who understand you don't need explanations. Those who don't will never accept them. Either way, your energy is better spent building, doing, becoming. So hold your silence, move in confidence, and let the world learn who you are, not through your words, but through your undeniable results. Number 11. Not complaining sets you free. Ever feel like a grumble about a long line, a broken plan, a stubborn leak? Chains you to the moment, like a weight you can't shake loose? You mutter, you stew, thinking it'll vent the steam, but instead, it's a rope, tugging you back to what's wrong, keeping you pacing in a cage of your own words. You're not just irked, you're bound, stuck replaying the snag while the day slips by, heavy with a fuss that fixes nothing. Not complaining isn't just quiet, it's freedom. A soft unshackling from what you can't shift, a step into peace that flows when you let go. Take Aisha, 37, a teacher. She used to sigh at every glitch. "This Wi-Fi's a nightmare," she'd huff, tapping her screen as the class lagged, her voice tight with every dropped call. She'd grumble through breaks, replaying the tech woes. Her day didn't stretch, it shrank, her spark dimmed by a hum she couldn't quit. She wasn't tied to the signal, she was tied to her tune. Or see Vic, 50, a gardener. Rain wrecked his mornings. "Can't plant in this," he'd mope, pacing his shed, griping at the sky. His boots stayed dry, but his mood soaked through, the downpour less a foe than his drone about it. He didn't lose to the wet, he lost to his wine. Here's the gentle glow. Not complaining isn't surrender, it's release. It's like dropping a stone you've clutched. The load lifts, the hand opens, and you're free to move, not moan. Aisha's not stuck on Wi-Fi, it's her fuss that traps her. Vic's not sunk by rain, it's his rant that weighs him. You're not caged by life's kinks, you're caged by your growl, and silence cuts the bars. The Stoics lit this path. Marcus Aurelius said, "Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking. Accept what's here, act where you can. Peace isn't out there, it's in you, born when the complaints fade." This is the quiet gift. Whining locks you in, skipping it lets you out. A freedom that hums when you stop stirring the pot. Aisha's lessons didn't crash, her gripes did. Vic's plants didn't fail, his groans did. You're not bound till you bind yourself, and letting go is the key that turns. It's not about ignoring the mess, it's about stepping past it, light and loose. Here's the easy lift. Trade the moan for motion. Aisha swapped "this won't work" for "I'll adapt." Scribbled notes, taught low-tech, kept her calm. Vic ditched "rain's a curse" for "I'll seed later," sipped tea, sharpened tools, found his breeze. When the grumble rises, pause. Ask, "Does this free me?" Say it soft, "I'll move on," and picture the complaint as a leaf falling free, not sticking. No strain needed, just one calm shift, and you soar. Aisha's classroom hums now. Vic's garden grows steady. Not complaining isn't restraint, it's liberty, yours to claim. Number 12, confidence comes from within. Consistent action, not words, builds true self-belief. Confidence is not something you are born with. It is not something you can gain by talking about your abilities, explaining your worth, or convincing others to believe in you. True confidence is built through action. Repeated, consistent action that proves to yourself what you are capable of. Think of Noah, a musician who dreamed of becoming a professional guitarist. At first, he hesitated to share his talent. He doubted himself, worried about what others would think, and felt the need to explain why he wasn't as skilled as he wanted to be. But instead of wasting time justifying his weaknesses, he focused on practice. Day after day, hour after hour, he trained his fingers, studied music theory, and learned from every mistake. He didn't seek validation, he sought mastery. Over time, something shifted. He no longer questioned his abilities because his actions had proven them to himself. He didn't need to tell people he was a musician. His skills made it obvious. This is the foundation of behavioral psychology. Confidence is not something you think your way into. It is something you earn through repetition and experience. The more you take action, the more your brain recognizes that you are capable. Psychologists call this self-efficacy, the belief that you can handle whatever comes your way. Every time you step forward despite fear, every time you do the work, instead of explaining why you can't, you reinforce the belief that you are strong, competent, and unshakable. The Stoics understood this well. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "A man's worth is no greater than the worth of his ambitions." Your confidence is not built by what you say about yourself. It is built by what you prove to yourself through action. If you want to be strong, train. If you want to be respected, deliver results. If you want to believe in yourself, stop talking about what you will do and start doing it. Confidence is not about external validation. It is not about explaining your worth to others. It is about knowing deep within yourself that you are capable, because you have done the work to become capable. Speak less, act more, and let your confidence grow not from empty words, but from undeniable experience. Conclusion: take control of your life through action. Stop complaining, stop explaining, discover your true power. At the core of every great transformation is a simple truth. Your life is shaped by what you do, not by what you say. Complaining changes nothing. Explaining convinces no one. But action, consistent, disciplined action, has the power to reshape your reality, silence your doubts, and build the life you truly want. The moment you stop complaining, you take back control. You stop wasting energy on things outside your influence and start focusing on what you can change. You stop blaming, stop waiting, stop making excuses. Instead, you move forward, and that movement is what separates those who talk from those who achieve. The moment you stop explaining, you free yourself from the need for approval. You realize that you do not owe the world an explanation for your choices, your growth, or your ambition. You let your results speak for themselves. You understand that confidence is not built by convincing others. It is built by proving to yourself what you are capable of. As Marcus Aurelius said, do not waste what remains of your life in speculation about others. Instead, be concerned with action. This is the path of the strong, the disciplined, the unshakable. When you embrace this mindset, you stop being reactive, you stop chasing validation, you become the master of your own life. So the choice is yours. Will you keep talking, or will you start doing? Will you keep waiting for others to understand you, or will you move forward regardless? The moment you stop explaining and stop complaining, you will realize something incredible. You never needed anyone's approval to begin with. Your power is in your actions. Take control, move forward, and let the world watch as you rise.